Plato's Symposium, Diotima says to Socrates, "Think only of the ambition of men, and you will wonder at the senselessness of their ways, unless you consider how they are stirred by the love of an immortality of fame."
Ben, I'm sorry, I can't.
Carol, I'm not trying to put you in the middle, but either you put me through on that phone or I'm coming right down there.
Ben, I have to do what Mr. Tourelle tells me.
Henri Tourelle once described his business as a hand with 5 fingers. He considered himself the brain that controlled the hand. Of the 5 fingers, each of them a top executive of Henri Tourelle Incorporated, Ben Tourelle, Henry's youngest brother, has perhaps the most power. Finger number 2 is named Maud Hutchinson, Miss Maud to the trade. What the French call a vendeuse, which is high class for a common American expression, sales lady.
Is Henry still talking to you?
You mean still, do you mean in the last half hour?
He shut the iron curtain on me about 20 minutes ago. Did he tell you he's closing the place? Now, don't start crying. I want you to come in with me and talk to her. Come on. We'll all go in together.
Fingers number 3 and 4, respectively, Bertrand Rosebrook, production man, and Carl Terrace, the controller. Of Mr. Rosebrook, it can be said that his shirts get dirty earlier in the day than anyone else's. Mr. Terrace is as cold as a fox.
He said 24 hours or the police.
After 25 years, I know how to handle his threats.
Well, sometimes the volcano sputters along for years, and then it means it.
Will you please let me take care of this in my own way?
Mr. Production Man, get the machines going. This is a working day.
I take my orders from Henry.
Not now. You take your orders from me.
Will you show me your voting control of the stock, Ben?
While Henry was in the hospital for the last 6 months, who's been running the place?
Well, you have your problems, Ben. I have mine.
So you want to hear it from him, huh? I want you both down in his office right now.
Peter Merrill is Henri Tourelle's designer. Of the fingers on the hand, he might be described as the pinky.
I'm going to take Tourelle, and I'm going to take a razor, and I'm going to cut his throat from ear to ear, and let his blood drip over the most expensive dress we have in the house. Ben! Ben, do you know what that brother of yours is going to do to me? He has shut down. He's holding me to the contract, Ben. Look at this. 6 months' work. He walked in, took one look at it, and said, "I hate it," and canceled.
It's time for a showdown, Peter. I want to know whose side you're on.
I'll tell you one thing, Ben. Whatever he's done, I'm not going to help you take the business away from him.
I'm not trying to take it away. I want to keep it open. Are you with me, yes or no?
I don't want to commit myself, Ben. I don't want Henry thinking I'm playing politics against him.
Thanks a lot.
Ben? All right. The man says cancel. Let's cancel.
If he wanted to pay attention to the buzzer, he would have paid attention to the buzzer.
Ring it again.
Plato goes on, speaking of the ambition of men. They are ready to run all risks greater than they would run for their children, and to spend money and undergo any sort of toil, and even to die, for the sake of leaving behind them a name which shall be eternal.
What is this, the labor management contract?
I'd like to talk to you.
Give us a couple of minutes, will you?
I'm his brother.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll catch you later.
Someday you're going to the whole world against the newspaper guild.
Someday you need a friend.
Hi.
What do you got?
Well, the body was discovered by 6 people. His secretary, Carol Flaxman, his brother, Ben, his head saleswoman, Ahmad Hutchinson, production man named Rosebrook, controller Carl Terrace, and designer named Peter Merrill.
Sounds like a committee.
Mr. Tourelle, the dead man here, was out of the plant for about 6 months, sick in the sanitarium. He comes back, he says he's going to close the plant down. Naturally, the joint starts smoking. Everybody in the world wants to see him. In the middle of it all, he shuts off his telephone, refuses to answer the secretary's buzzer. He was dead for a little under 2 hours when they got to him. 2 hours, right?
That's about right.
Well, you're really committing yourself, huh?
2 hours. Give or take a half an hour.
Was the door locked when they came in?
No. When this guy says don't come in, everybody stayed out.
All right, boys.
Anything else you want me to know?
Apparently,
Well, naturally, apparently.
it seems that some projectile, like a bullet, entered through the rib cage just over the heart, penetrated the heart, and caused death. It seems likely that the projectile was fired at close range because of powder burns on the clothing and on the body itself.
Thanks, Doc. Any gun?
No gun.
Well, just in case it walked out of here or somebody got scared or careless, let's take a look around the premises.
Look at the character in this bust, Mike. Whoever did it was a fine artist. You know, there's an expression in this face. I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Well, Adam, the way they described him to me, this guy's like a Roman emperor. He runs this place, but he really runs it. Nobody can thread a needle without he says yes. Now, come on, let me show you. Now, when they found him, he was like this. Well, he had a piece of paper under his left hand, and on it was written Ben in big shaky letters. I sent the paper over to the lab for chemical analysis and fingerprinting. They're going to send you a photostat.
Fine, I'll grab a look at it later. Oh, Frank.
Yeah.
I want the movements of everybody in this office. This floor. I want a floor plan. You know, these old buildings are full of corners, and I remember on the
Mr.
land...
Tourelle's secretary, come in, please.
What's that?
I don't know, Frank. I'm not sure I know what I'm after.
I was Mr. Tourelle's secretary.
Does this belong to Mr. Tourelle?
Yes. He brought it back with him from Japan 2 years ago.
Is it usually kept on the desk?
Yes. He plays with it. I mean, he played with it. He used to take it apart and put it back together again. I guess to keep his hands busy.
Nothing.
Fine, thank you very much. Could you wait outside again, please?
Frank, here's how we'll go at this. 5 people and a secretary found them. I want you to round them all up and keep them in the anteroom. Then when I need them, I'll talk to them one by one. Then I want you to circulate throughout the factory. See if you can pick up the gun, pick up the gossip, the rumors. Find out what the theories are on the outside of what happened in here.
Yes, sir.
Adam, see if anybody's got a gun permit around here.
Right.
Is it true?
I told you. I knew him already when he first started. He was selling buttons. He had a fancy case, and inside a sandwich for lunch. Such a man shouldn't die like that.
Are you sure?
He always treated me proper.
You know him like a one man knows another. He didn't smell from cigars. It's the best I could say about him.
Did any of you people go into Mr. Tourelle's office this morning?
I talked to Mr. Tourelle for the whole floor, and no one saw him today.
Is that so?
Please, mister, you are talking to the wrong people. Workers don't kill bosses. Maybe they like to, maybe every day. But this is for associates, competitors, relatives. And besides, in the middle of a season, is this the time for a murder?
Frank, was Maud Hutchison here when you arrived?
Yeah, why?
Well, we're looking for her. We can't find her.
She couldn't get out of here. I've got every exit posted.
That's funny. We can't find her.
Then Maybe we better ask somebody to look into the ladies' room.
Yeah.
I can go try and find it if you want me to. As a lounge for women. If you have a headache, that's where you go to lay down.
Would you please?
Sure.
Thank you.
It's right here, please.
Well, we've looked every place.
Huh?
What's the matter?
Get it up.
Huh?
She cut herself. Hey, don't worry about me.
I don't want to live. I don't want to live.
Here, Miss. Feeling better, huh?
I'm fine. I'll be all right. Fine. Pretty soon I'll be able to work 2 days and 8 hours again.
Maybe you'd like to sit down.
Thank you.
This was in the ladies' room.
Yeah, does it belong to this woman?
I don't know, sir. I don't like to open wallets or pocketbooks that might have money in them. You know, you get accused of having sticky fingers.
Yeah. Come on, let's go. I need a couple of witnesses here. Miss Maud Hutchinson, 3824 Raposa Street, New York City. 10-5, $15 cash. What's this here? Must be a check. Yep. Pay to the order, Maud Hutchinson. $25,000. Is that what it says?
That's right, 25,000.
All right, Adam. Jot down the bank deposit number and the date of this check. And I want Miss Hutchinson to have a receipt. Hold on to this for me, will you?
Yes, sir.
Now, can she talk?
She'll be able to talk later. I'll let you know when.
All right. Let's go.
Yeah. Frank, put this in the purse, will you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Margate, please. Hello. This is Carol Claxton, Henri Tourelle. Will you please tell Mr. Margate that we are canceling the Wednesday
Mr. Tourelle, if
show?
you want to talk to me, now's the time.
What? No, no trouble. Well, perhaps a little trouble. You'll read about it in the newspapers.
Mr. Tourelle, would you say that the feelings between you and your brother were good
Sometimes.
and sometimes not?
Sometimes not.
How do you explain this? Sometimes not.
Thank you. What's this?
That's a photostat of a note found under your brother's body.
My brother wrote my name on a piece of paper.
Why?
Obviously, he was trying to tell somebody something.
Maybe he was trying to tell us the name of the man who killed him.
You figure it that way, Lieutenant. I figure a man is badly hurt and dying writes his brother's name because he needs his brother's help.
Now, let's start from the beginning, huh? Maybe we can figure this out by ourselves.
I'm sorry. Well, the beginning is that we were born in the same house. Of the same mother and father. But Henry was older. That he had a will like a hammer, and if you got in his way, he'd knock you down. That's the beginning. This year, he went away for 6 months. I thought a vacation. Turned out he was pulling the medical world inside out, trying to give him a chance to live. Believe me, if Henry couldn't make it, his life or death was beyond the control of medicine.
You're saying that he was dying.
I'm saying the doctors told me he was dying. This morning, he came to work. And it was like his whole life was a bath. And we were the dirt and the dirty water, and he pulled the plug. When I came to work, Carol handed me a note.
Carol?
That's his secretary. All it said was stop the factory. I kept that factory going.
You ignore an order from me and I'll destroy you.
Why don't you learn there are other people in the world who also have minds, who have hands, who have talent?
You little worm. What are you doing, teaching me? I worked 16 hours a day so you could go to school.
Thank you, thank you. I've been thanking you every day of my life.
Yeah, so I see.
And I just gave you the biggest season we ever had, the biggest.
Sure, why not? After 20 years, you finally learned to put a piece of me in every box. I put this business together. I don't have to ask anyone's permission to take it apart.
You want to talk pieces. Let's talk pieces. Let's talk 4 shipping clerks, 4 wives, 6 kids. Let's talk 9 models, 40 people on the machines. Let's talk cutters and presses and delivery boys. But then I want to talk about a man who wants to tear it all apart because he's tired.
Let's talk quietly. Sit down. Sit down. I've been lying in a small white room full of antiseptic odors and badly dressed females. I've had time to think. I'm closing the doors permanently.
Henry, you're afraid. You're afraid we'll run the business without you.
You're a fool.
You're afraid we'll find out Henry Tourelle wasn't indispensable.
You're a complete fool. You really think so?
I know so.
You think you could run it?
I know so. I've been running it for 6 months.
6 months is nothing. Tourelle's on vacation. The firm goes on without him.
You said it. I'll say it again. The firm goes on without you.
You'll never make it without me, Ben. Never. You're too soft. If anyone had said to me the things I've said to you day after day, I'd have killed them long ago.
That's the beginning. And that's the end. It's the last time I saw my brother alive.
Your story is that when you left him, he was alive.
I wouldn't kill him, Lieutenant. He was my brother.
There was a fella, Kane. Remember him? He had a brother, too. That's all for now, Mr. Tourelle. What are you, a policeman or somebody playing games?
You hate puzzles, don't you, Mike?
Is that a serious question?
Well, I hate puzzles, too. I suppose that's the nature of a policeman, to hate puzzles.
Lieutenant Parker speaking.
Lieutenant Parker, will you push the 393 button on the green telephone, please?
Lieutenant Parker here.
Mike, you got a couple of minutes to let me fill you in on what I picked up so far?
Where are you?
I'm in the examining room.
We're on our way. This the floor plan?
Yeah, I got it from the manager of the building. Now, Tourelle has this whole floor and part of the next floor. Now, here's the front elevators, freight elevators. Here's the incoming piece goods, examining room, layaway room, shipping room.
What's a layaway room?
Layaway room is where they put the coats and dresses on the racks. Before they put them in the boxes, they ship them out. Now, here's a pattern room, another pattern room, design room, showroom, Tourelle's office. Now, the only access to Tourelle's office is here and here. Now, the secretary sits right here.
What about the other door, locked?
No, everything's open.
Fine. Now, Frank, here's what I want you to do. I want you to lay out a minute-by-minute time schedule. I want you to check with Tourelle's secretary. Tell her to check her calendar and see what she remembers about who saw him when and where this morning. You got that?
Yes, sir.
Then when you set up this separate list, I'll check it with my list of interrogations of the individual people. Right?
Right.
Adam?
Mike, I'm not as interested in the blueprint as I am the bust of Tourelle.
Okay, I'm listening.
Every time I look at that bust, Mike, I see an expression. So far, I haven't been able to figure it out.
Okay, you go your way. I play it by the book. Now, what I want to know is who could have gotten into that office without being observed. Also, what I'd like to know is who would know that the secretary was away from her desk. And who could see that private office door without being seen. Police work.
You mind? Now, it takes 30 seconds to get from the controller's office to Tourelle's office and back again. Maud Hutchinson could get to the showroom in 10 seconds and back again. Ben Tourelle, now he roamed all over the place.
Lieutenant.
Yeah?
The medic said if you want to talk to the lady that hurt herself, this will be a good time to do it.
Fine.
Please, Ed.
Miss Hutchinson, this is Detective Alan Flint, Detective Frank O'Carl. If someone harms themselves, there are no simple answers. So being a lieutenant of detectives, I have to jump to very quick conclusions. I have here a pistol permit. Permit number 498310, 38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver, issued 1956 to Miss Maud Hutchinson, 3824 Reposite Street, New York City.
Miss Hutchinson, because of your action, and because so far as we can tell, you're the only one here that has a gun permit, we're going to have to question you very seriously.
I couldn't kill him that way.
What do you mean that way?
With a gun?
Miss Hutchinson, do you still have that gun? Can you show it to us now?
Henry has it.
Henri Tourelle?
Had it.
It's very easy to say a dead man had a gun, Miss Hutchinson. A dead man can't say yes or no.
Miss Hutchinson, would you like to tell us why you gave Mr. Tourelle the gun?
Didn't they tell you Henry and I were very close? There was a robbery, and so he needed a gun. He was afraid. I got him the gun because of the robbery.
In your name.
How can I explain the complications of life with Henri Tourelle? Do you want me to say that the gun was taken out in my name because as a woman, I could have a gun without being accused of being a coward? I got the gun and gave it very quietly to Henry.
What happened to the gun after you gave it to him?
The robbery slipped his mind. We never mentioned it again. I don't care if you think I'm lying. He handed that to me personally. Did you look at the endorsement on the back?
2 weeks severance pay.
In case the question occurred to you, that's his own personal handwriting.
Isn't $25,000 a considerable amount of money for severance pay?
That's an inside joke, Lieutenant. An inside joke. Yesterday afternoon we had lunch together. Everything was very gemütlich. Very Henri Tourelle.
What shall I say? Shall I say darling? Mon amour? Shall I say Liebchen after 15 years of suffering the mute agony of your patient eyes? Marry me, Maud.
Go to hell.
It just might work out that way.
What shall I say? Shall I say Henry, dearest, mon amour, cher amour, honey apple Henry? What kind of a masochist do you think I am anyway? Hasn't occurred to me for a minimum of 5 years that you and I would ever get married. I haven't been waiting for marriage mutely or otherwise, patiently or otherwise, agonizedly or otherwise.
Take it easy.
I hate you when you pull the wings off butterflies, particularly when I'm the butterfly.
I mean it. Do me the honor of becoming my wife.
I'm honoring somebody else next Sunday.
Anyone I know?
Nobody I'd let you know. The first year I was working with you, I was lying in bed night after night, drunk with sleeping pills. You going around and around in my head, saying to myself, you're a fool, Maud. No matter how long you stay with Henri, dearest, mon cher amour, it'll end up with 2 weeks severance pay.
No. I wish you every happiness.
Thanks.
I can't find it within myself to send you wedding presents.
Don't bother.
Maud, I want to say something personal and painful to me. It seems that I may not be able to live much longer. For selfish reasons, I thought I would ask you to marry me. This wouldn't have been too much of a burden to you because it would have been for a short period only. I guess my timing was off. Waiter.
There were no marriage plans. Sunday, next Sunday, or any Sunday after that. How could I say, Henri, I wanted you for 15 years? I see no reason for living. No. I see no reason for living at all.
Mr. Merrill, will you come in, please?
Sit down.
I hope this doesn't mean, because I'm the last one to be interviewed, that you consider me the least important member of the firm.
I'm a policeman, Mr. Merrill, not a personnel manager.
Touché. That puzzle has always fascinated me. Henri would sit there playing with it by the hour. He would take it apart and put it together, take it apart and put it together without even looking at it.
Yeah? There's one thing I found out about all you people down here. You have one thing in common, a distinct hatred of Mr. Henri Tourelle.
Oh, yes. I think that was Henry's greatest single talent. He knew how to make people hate him, but in a special way. If I hated you, Lieutenant, you wouldn't get any work out of me. When I hated Henri, it was a challenge, an indignity, an affront. I had to prove to him that I was a better man than he was. That was his method.
What did he do to you?
In a single sentence? This morning, Mr. Henri Tourelle called me into his office.
Sit down, Peter. Peter. We've had some great years together here, haven't we, boy? You've probably heard I'm closing my business.
Kings don't abdicate unless they're pushed. I've got some money if you need it.
What a nice fellow you really are. Thank you, but no. No, I'm taking it all apart permanently.
Who should I work for? I'd feel sick working for anyone else. I've had offers.
You'll work for no one.
I don't have that much money.
You'll be paid in full for the full extent of your contract. That is for 10 years. And should I die, there are options for another 10, again to be paid in full.
Mr. Tourelle, you're too good. But if I have to work somewhere else, I will.
Let me make it clear. You will not work for anyone ever again. Without my approval, you can do nothing. Read your contract.
There are people who take pictures and never appear in them.
and people who never take pictures and are always photographed. There are people who kill, and people who would like to kill, but whose fate is to be killed.
You know, what do you know? It was what fabric Mr. Tourelle was killed, and I tell you.
Taci, l'uomo dietro di te è un poliziotto.
Ma che mi importa? Mr. Tourelle was a gentleman, era un gentiluomo, nobile, onesto.
It's all right, it's all right. Io parlo italiano, mi chiamo Arcaro.
Oh, italiano?
Parenti però. I was born here.
Oh, I see.
Now, what's this about the fabric, huh?
You know, in a factory, it's just like a small town. Everybody know everything, but no proof.
You're afraid, eh?
No.
We hear lots of stealing going on. Big stealing.
In this place, $500,000 fabric every year. In and out.
Who's got the hand in the pot?
Well, we hear a couple of names. You don't ask me to testify, do you?
You said you liked Tourelle.
Sì, è vero. This other one. Quell'uomo farà una brutta fine. He's a terrible man. I'm no stool pigeon. Just remember, it was Umberto Giacomo who told you that he was killed about the fabric, not me. Remember that.
All right, Miss Flaxman, Mr. Tourelle, Mr. Rosebrook, Mr. Terrace, get in here. I mean now! Oh, Mr. Merrill, this doesn't concern you. Why don't you wait outside? Adam, you know I respect your hunches. I go for your instinct. I think you're a fine policeman. Do me a favor, will you? Please put that puzzle in your pocket. It's making me nervous. Ladies and gentlemen, early this morning a man was killed here. Right now we are making a formal police investigation. Anybody concealing anything pertaining to this investigation will be considered guilty of a crime. Now, Mr. Tourelle, you prepared a memo this morning accusing these two men of embezzlement. Miss Flaxman, you typed that memo. You know the content of it. Why didn't you tell me?
I guess I forgot. I would have remembered it on the subway. I'm not accustomed to murder. I was flustered. But that doesn't make me a bad person.
What are you wasting your time for, Lieutenant? Isn't it obvious these two thieves murdered my brother?
That's a lie. He's just trying to cover himself. You want the killer? There's the killer.
All right. Everybody sit down. Everybody sit down over here now.
All right, come on.
Throw suspicion. Cast a cloud of black ink like a cuttlefish. Killer in his heart and I'll prove it.
I'm telling you to shut up, Bert.
Don't threaten Mr. Terrell.
I know this man. What he's about to say.
I'll talk you chapter and verse, and I'll make you understand that you have to believe me because I'm going to tell you that I'm a thief, and that's how I can prove it.
You're talking about yourself, Bert. You're talking about yourself.
I'm involved, then he's involved. No matter what he tells you, we're both involved. For 15 years, every day my stomach turned over. Every night before I went to sleep, every morning when I got up, I knew I was a thief. I confess. I tell you, you don't know what it means to get this off my back, off my head. I worked with Carl. I took the goods. I sold the goods. I took the money. Some of it I gambled on horses. Some of it I gave to women. I brought an expensive confirmation present for my 13-year-old nephew. He was so happy about it.
You made an accusation against that man over there. The subject is that accusation.
Henri Tourelle knew we were stealing. He understood we had dirty hands. He called us into his personal shower room.
Come in, gentlemen. Come in. Forgive the informality.
Nice of you to come so quickly, Carl, and, oh, why do I keep forgetting your name?
Rosebrook. He came to us 15 years ago.
Of course. Forgive me.
I've made a few appointments for you, Mr. Tourelle. I've got some fabric buyers coming in.
I'd like you boys to do me a little favor.
Anything.
I'd like a complete inventory.
Oh. Well, we took the semi-annual inventory 2 months ago.
It will be a waste, sir. Everything is in perfect order.
How will you take this inventory?
As always.
Each checking on the other, huh?
As always.
Tell me, how could you have stolen from Henri Tourelle? What's more important, how could Henri Tourelle have let this happen? To allow a pair of second-rate crooks to steal from him all these years. Carl, I once had $16. You needed $16. I gave it to you.
These papers are forgeries.
A miscalculation, believe me, sir.
Ben prepared these. They satisfy me.
Ben has wanted me out for years.
I want restitution for all the money, or I'll call the police.
Well, give us a chance to explain.
You never paid me enough.
Don't put your burden upon me. If you wanted more money, you should have fought for it. Quit. Do something.
Well, to people like me, you hold all the cards.
You have had a bad break, both of you. If I had died, well, you can still hope. By the way, old friend, if I should pass away under unusual circumstances, find out what Ben was doing when I said my last words.
As God is my witness, that's what he said. If I should pass away under unusual circumstances, find out what Ben was doing when I said my last words.
Mr. Tourelle, you imagine that's why he wrote your name on a piece of paper when he was dying?
Would I incriminate myself as a thief if I were not telling the truth?
Now, this is where the bullet entered here and penetrated the heart.
And death was instantaneous. What's the matter, Sidney? Don't you want to commit yourself?
As a matter of fact, it's possible for a human being to be shot in the heart and to survive for a period of time thereafter. Perhaps a second, perhaps 5 seconds. I shouldn't be surprised, but what in some instances 10 seconds might elapse before clinical death would be established.
Is that a fact?
Sidney, you got to be the greatest if, and butter that was ever in the business. So we can assume that the actual cause of death was the entrance of the bullet in the heart, right?
It's possible.
Doc.
Now, wait a minute. If we're going to be concerned with complete accuracy, we have to know whether or not that man's heart was in such a damaged condition that the slightest shock, the slightest exertion, could have meant a mortality at any time.
What's the matter with you?
I just don't like being led by the nose, that's all.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Tourelle, Mike. Everything that man does contradicts everything else he does.
For example?
For example, he has Maud Hutchison take out a gun permit in her name so that he can use a gun to defend himself. Against what? Here's another example. He scrawls the name Ben on a piece of paper, obviously just before he died. But why? For what reason? Don't you see there's no meaning to the way he does things? As a matter of fact, the man is constantly creating puzzles. Oh, here's another riddle. He tells somebody that in the event he dies in a curious manner, investigate Ben. But who does he tell this to? He tells this to a man he is just accused of being a thief. Now, Mike, human beings behave in a logical manner. I mean, even a psychopath makes sense, provided, of course, you have the key to his thinking. Now, that's just the very problem we have here with Tourelle's behavior. There's a piece missing. See this puzzle? There's a piece missing, right? You think it's an accident that this piece is missing? Well, I don't, Mike. I happen to believe that there's a piece missing on purpose. On Tourelle's purpose.
What are you getting all steamed up about?
Because, Frank, somebody's laughing at me. Now, I don't know who or why. Yes, somebody's laughing at me.
Is this Tourelle we're talking about?
Yes, this is Tourelle we're talking about.
Who happens to be dead.
All right. But why does a man arrange things so that the minute he dies, we automatically suspect everybody who's close to him in his business?
Adam, do you realize the implications that you're making? Do you want me to follow through on this insane logic of yours? Do I hear you making accusations of the dead man? Do I, Adam? You're inferring that he wanted to destroy his factory and all his friends who were in it. Adam, is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, why couldn't he have killed himself?
Where's the gun?
I don't know. Look, Frank, maybe somebody came in who loved him and didn't want him to be known as a suicide record, and so they picked up the gun and they hid it somewhere.
That's fine, except from the time this was discovered, nobody was able to leave the factory. We looked for the gun, but there wasn't any.
Come on, Mike, they had a lot of time to hide the gun before we arrived.
These stories all dovetail. It would be impossible for anybody to leave the factory between the time he was shot and we got there. Everybody stays in the factory.
Doc, let's go back to that 10-second theory of yours. Would it be possible for a man to physically move during those 10 seconds?
Adam, get off that kick, will you?
Mike...
I'm making it official. We're searching for a murderer. I want you two boys to get a lot of sleep tonight, and I want you to meet me early tomorrow morning in Tourelle's office.
Yes, sir.
Adam, do me a favor, will you? Let's stop shouting at each other.
Good night, Adam.
Good night, Frank.
You'll tell me.
How far can a man get in 10 seconds?
Hey, Adam. Oh, hey. You sure got here early.
I've been here all night.
What?
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mike.
Hi.
I know this sounds strange, but nothing falls up, Mike.
Well, that's a nice piece of information to start the day off with.
Now, what I mean is this. Nobody does anything outside of their own nature. Not even our friend Mr. Tourelle here. Mr. Tourelle was a very rough man, but he did have a sense of justice. Oh, it was strange and it was bizarre, but it was justice. For example, he spent 15 years not marrying Maud Hutchison, and then he turned around and gave her $25,000 for her trouble. A kind of justice, huh? Now, let me jump to something else. Mike, you said it was impossible for anyone to have gotten in here and taken the gun. Well, I agree. But if that's true, then it's also true that it would have been impossible for anyone to have gotten in here and taken the piece from this puzzle.
Look, Adam, we weren't looking for the missing piece of the puzzle.
Just a minute, Frank. Let me get through with this train of thought.
Go ahead, go ahead. You've got our attention.
Okay. Mike, may I sit in that chair a minute, please? Now, my theory is this. Our friend here with his strange sense of justice, he left the piece out of this puzzle so that we would know that the situation wasn't what it appeared to be.
Oh, yeah.
Now, wait a minute, Frank. He deliberately gave us that information. Mike,
I'm going to take those 10 seconds that Sidney gave us in the lab. I'm going to shoot myself through the heart. I'm going to get rid of this gun. And I'm going to write the word Ben on this piece of paper. Watch. But first, let me open this drawer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8, 9, 10. That's very good, Adam. But we looked through these drawers. Why didn't we find his gun?
Because we didn't find this button.
There's the gun and the missing piece of the puzzle.
This is Mike Parker. Get me Sid in the lab. Yeah. Sid? Tourelle knocked himself off. Yeah. Run me a quick dermal nitrate so I can clinch it that he personally fired his own gun.
Where are you going, Maud?
What difference does it make, Ben?
It makes a big difference. Do you think everything dies with Henri? You think the world can't go on because Henri's left it? Maud, this may not be the time, but there's a business here, right now. You stop it for a day, an hour, a minute, it's dead. I've got to start it breathing again. And the same goes for you. I'd like to see you live.
I'll think about it, Ben.
There are 8 million stories in the naked city. This has been one of them.
This has been a Screen Gems film presentation from Columbia Pictures, produced by Herbert B. Leonard.